Welcome friends. Today we will be discussing in the continuation of injury that are the firearm injuries or the gunshot injuries. We will be discussing how the firearm works and how the firearms they define the injury and they have mechanics on the tissue of the body. Firearm generally throw a bullet. It can be a shotgun bullet, it can be a rifle bullet, but anything which is flying, we call it missile. Whether it is a small object, whether it is a big rocket, we call it missile. Then flying object can be thrown from a, you can say the gunshots, firearms, and you can say the there is a firearm and then from which the bullets come out. Then we have crossbows, captive bolt guns, air pistols, and an older mechanism of catapults that used to pull the elastic material and throw the projectile in the form of stones and other things. And then we come to that, we have the another term, that is ballistics. Ballistic is basically the science or the mechanism that deals with the flight, means the path of the bullet. Path of the bullet. Path of the bullet. This path, how it will travel, and deal with the behavior and effect of the projectile, how it will move, how it will go in the air. And then we can say we have one part, that is gun or the mechanic part or the projecting part, you can say gun. Then we have path, then we have bullet. Here we can say we have tissue or the body or the target. It is very easy to say that one is gun, then its path, then the bullet targeting the body. So we will be discussing more about this, because in forensic pathology or forensic medicine we will be discussing more about the changes in the wound or changes caused in the body, whereas this part is mainly dealt by the forensic sciences, and they have branch that deals with it is ballistics. So ballistic it can be called internal ballistic, that I have told. Internal ballistic deal with the process in the firearm. It means whatever the gun is there, you can say the gun is there and we have the chamber here, and we can say that many things are going on in it, and we can say that there is a process, something is going on in this gun, and something going on, it is called the internal ballistic. Exterior ballistic means the behavior of the projectile after leaving the barrel. This is the barrel, then the projectile comes out and moves. Projectile moves. So, then there is a wound ballistic, comprise the changes caused when the missile penetrates a human or animal body. If it is there is a human body here, then it will strike, and this bullet will strike and will bring changes here. So we will not be dealing this part. We will be dealing this part only, because it is mainly related to the examination part or the changes in the body which we will be examining, and we will be dealing with, we will be taking some topics about these two parts also, because We must know the weapons, we must know the types of weapons, we must know the projectiles, we must know the missiles, types of bullets, and which are very common in our society, so that we can be able to relate with the wound and the weapon. It is very important that we can relate it and give the authorities a proper opinion about the type of weapon which may have caused the injury. Ballistics can be proximal ballistic in another term, that the motion of the projectile within the firearm which I have discussed earlier. Then intermediate ballistics, motion of the projectile outside the firearm, means within the air from the gun to the body. Then terminal ballistic wound, effect of projectile on the target or the body. So we will be mainly discussing this terminal ballistics and some part of this also, but terminal ballistic is more important to the forensic pathologist or people of forensic medicine, and during autopsy or the examination of the wound in the emergency or the trauma center, we are more concerned with the changes in the tissue. The mechanics of missile injury or the gun injury or the pellet injury, we can say that some of all the kinetic energy of missile has to be absorbed by the target tissue, where it is dissipated as heat, noise and mechanical disruption. Our target by making a gun or the bullet is that we should be able to target all the energy on the target organ, means all the energy which is being created and which propels the bullet should stop at the body, because if it will stop, it will cause maximum injury. So we have a formula for that. Missile passes completely through. If a missile passes completely through the soft tissue, it may retain some of the original kinetic energy and fail to transfer any appreciable amount to the tissue, which may remains relatively intact part. If the bullet passes through the tissue, like arms, like thighs, then chances of that there are less injuries, like a through and through bullet. But if it strikes a bone, then the bone fractures, whole of the energy of the bullet is stopped in the tissue and the maximum damage is done. So we as a forensic pathologist try to determine that whether there is a maximum energy disbursement or the bullet has passed. We will see in the further slides. To ensure transfer of energy to the tissue, some missiles are specially designed or modified to slow up or stop within the body. We have come to know various bullets, that dum-dum bullet or exploding bullet, that explode while when they stick on the or when they hit the target, they explode. When they explode, suppose this is a bullet and this is the tip, it explodes. So if when it explodes, the area has increased. So most probably chances is bullet will stop here and the maximum damage will be done. Maximum damage will be done in the tissue. If that bullet passes without, then chances are it can pass through the body and less damage is done. So we sometimes the military or the other organization designs the bullet which explodes on the target tissue, which of one is dum-dum bullet and another is exploding bullet. Soft head bullet will flatten, or the head of the bullet is softened, so that when it strikes, then it flats, like in that bullets that are being given to the marshals in the planes for the safety. So it cannot penetrate the hull of the plane or depressurize the um, aeroplane, and it can control the hijackers and another people. The jet trajectory of missile is also determined how much and how it is the energy is given up in the target. If it is at 90°, then the chances are the maximum energy will be transferred. If it is with some angle, then the chances are there are less energy will be transferred, depending upon how the things, how the body and the bullet strike. More contact between projectile and tissue, allowing more transfer of the energy and thus greater tissue damage. The amount of kinetic energy passed by the projectile accords to the familiar formula of half product of the missile mass and the square of the velocity. You can see that the more velocity, because the energy is equal to half mv square. So energy produced will be square of the velocity. Means with there was a race to increase the velocity of the bullets, 500 meter per second, 1500 meter per second, and more than that. Then they were supposed to cause a lot of damage. But another is, this energy should be completely discharged at the tissue. It should not penetrate or go. So then sometimes mass is increased, sometimes flattening area is increased, sometimes the bullet explodes on that, so that whole of the energy is transferred there. The mode of energy depends upon several factors: the shape, velocity, and a possible deformation or fragment of the missile, which all affect the tissue-missile interaction. The more there is the interaction, the more there is a surface area of the contact, the more energy will be transferred and the more tissue damage will occur. When the missile penetrates the skin, it mechanically thrusts aside the tissue along with track wider than the missile. When it strikes, then it distracts, means widen the tissue and penetrates. Then skin alerts will come closer. So sometimes we can see that initially it is wide, then while examining you can say it is of narrow dimensions. The tissue are lacerated or crushed. Sometimes secondary damage occur from the rupture of the blood vessels and other structures, resulting in a permanent wound injury. Then when the bullet passes, then there is a permanent injuries to the vessels and the other underlying tissues which come into the way of the projectile. High velocity projectile produce yet another phenomena, that is of cavitation. Cavitation is basically a formation of cavity. It is generally produced by the rotating objects, like we have rifled weapons in which the bullet is rotating at very high speeds. And this very high speed, when comes to a solid organs like liver and all that, it creates a lot of churning and they create a cavity there, and after leaving the bullet, the cavity is, when the bullet is inside, cavity is large, then the bullet goes out, then the cavity is slightly decreased, but the tissue damage which has already done because of the churning of the tissue, it will be there. Then the chances are maximum damage is there because of the high velocity and the high revolutionary speed of the bullet. High velocity projectile produce yet another phenomena, that is cavitation. Missile accelerate the tissue adjacent to the track so that they continue to move centrifugally. Means if bullet is there, it is going, then the tissue around is also moving. Then it will break and will leave a circular traumatic hole or the path, form cavity around the track that is far wider than the diameter of the projectile, reaches a maximum size within millisecond, then pulsate with the decreasing amplitude so that fusiform cavity rapidly follows in the wake of bullet. When the bullet stops or leaves the organ, the cavity rapidly subsides, but the track of the damage persists in a tubular zone with wider than the actual missile. You can say that if it is the path of the bullet, then the chances is that when there is a cavity formation because of the centrifugal moving of the projectile, but when the bullet moves out, then it generally subsides, and we will see in the next slides. It is the temporary cavity which is formed by the projectile movement while the projectile was there. Then it is a permanent cavity when the projectile goes out in this direction. It can be seen mainly in the rifled weapons. Firearm is a thermodynamic machine in which the potential energy of a gunpowder is transformed into the kinetic energy of the projectile. Potential energy of the gunpowder means gunpowder is having some of the energy in the form of chemicals. When the gunpowder is burned, then gases are produced suddenly in one portion. Suppose in one portion it is the gun where the gas is formed, and there is a bullet here. You can say gas is formed, but this part is not moving. So this gas will suddenly push this bullet and bullet will move out, because this part is not moving, it is stationary, and it is mostly attached to our hand or sometime our shoulders. So it is stationary, and this part is, since light also, it is light, heavy. So this will move and move with great velocity. This is all the mechanism of the firearm. Every firearm generally works on the same mechanism. Sudden expansion of the gases within a controlled chamber lead to sudden movement of the projectile or the bullet with great velocity. There are different types of weapons, firearm weapons. We will be discussing today the smooth bore weapons. Means there is a bore of the, we can say if it is a gun, this is a bore. We can say bore. This is the muzzle end. This is the muzzle end, and this is the loading end. So it is smooth inside. In a smooth bore weapon, it can be shotgun, single barrel, double barrel, it can be air pistol, and it can be Geffire's guns, that can be Greener, Snyder or Remington, depending upon the companies. The rifled weapon we have, rifled means we have something like that. We have in rifled weapon, there is something inside the barrel, which is something mean grooves, that during the grooves are made, and grooves are made in the spiral fashion, so that when the bullet comes out from that, it revolves. This revolving can be said to have a stabilizing factor during the movement of the projectile. Generally the bullet, if it is not spiraling, then it may deviate from the path, but when it is spiraling, then it moves in the particular direction. Automatic, long, non-automatic, semi-automatic, whereas in the short rifle weapon, we have automatic pistols and revolvers. Anatomy of firearm, you can see that it is a smooth bore. There is no serrations or no grooving, but either here you can say there is a rifled Means one part is deep, another part is up, and so it is being done to increase the velocity and the circular movement of the bullet coming out. Similarly, here also you can see the rifled weapons. Some terminologies: barrel. We have the barrel. We already discussed. This is the barrel, and metal tube through which the bullet is fired. Steel tube for jetting out the projectile. Two end, breech end, and the muzzle end. Then the bore we have inside the barrel. Then means the pathway, smooth. Then we have rifle, or means some of the grooving is done. Smooth bore firearms, no rifling. Bore, internal diameter of the shotgun. It can be determined by the number of the lead balls from 1 pound. Express and gauge like 12 bore and something like that. So it is the formula: number of lead balls each fitting the bore, which can be made from 1 pound. Shotgun fires several spherical pellets simultaneously. We will be discussing about the shotgun cartridge, which is having multiple pellets that are fitted, and how it fires we will be discussing in the coming slide. Then we have different types of shotguns: short arm, single or double barrel. The range is generally 30 to 40 meter, or it can be fatal up to 40 meters. Muzzle velocity is generally 300 meter per second. Easy to handle, difficult to hit on the moving object. Then we have this is the anatomy of the, or the you can say the cartridge which is being filled in the shotgun. Cartridge can be like this, which has different things being filled at different level. Cartridge can be like this. Similarly, the inside the thing, we have percussion cap which has primer inside. Then we have powder and propellant charge, means gunpowder. We can have gunpowder here. Then the wad, overpower wad. Then we have wads here. Then the cushion pads. Then the cushion pad is here. Then we have pellets being stored here. So when it is ignites, when the anvil of the gun strikes here, then there is a fire which can lead to burning of the gases, and it propels the charge outside of the cartridge. Component of the cartridge producing injuries: gun flames. With that, when the firearm is fired, then the gun flames are there. They produce heat combustion effect on the garment, hair singeing, gun smoke, soot particles, blackening, gunpowder, blackening, gunpowder cores can cause tattooing, cards, minor injuries. These cards and wads we have seen in the previous slides. Cards and wads, this can cause minor injuries. Gases that they come out, blowback, affect cherry red color around wound of the entry. Lead shot bullet, wound of the entry in the lead shot which are present here, that can cause the injury.